Ladies and gentlemen, our journey through the landscape of cutting edge technology continues with yet another inspiring session. It is an honor to introduce our next speaker, a true technologist and innovator in every sense of the word, Prasanna Lohar, CEO of Blackstock. With an extensive professional journey spanning over 22 years, Prasanna brings to the table a remarkable track record of delivering robust software solutions for industry-leading enterprises. His accomplishments has been achieved through the dynamic lens of lean and agile teams, showcasing his unparalleled expertise in the field. May I please call upon the stage Mr. Prasanna Lohar.
Very good morning, everybody. Okay, so I think considering the overall theme of today's agenda around cloud or data management, I will deep down how the things are changing, and more or less everybody must be aware of how things are changing since last 21 years, right? So I'll coming from banking background, I'll touch upon how banking has changed and why banks are now looking at data management or AI, cloud, how customer behavior is changing, and to mitigate this customer behavior change, how we can adopt many more technologies today, tomorrow, and what has changed yesterday because of regulators, because of many other public digital infrastructures. So we'll touch upon next 35 minutes what's really happening. Now, if you go back 25 plus years before, or in 94, the gentleman said that banking is necessary, but banks are not. So far, it was always like bank is a brick and mortar model, wherein you have to reach to the bank branch and do your financial transactions, considering opening account or doing the day-to-day knowing balance. And until I think, if you go back until 90s also, I still remember my father used to send me in a bank branch, go and collect the cash, right, with that receipt. You have to go wait for your turn with the brass token. That was the era we have seen for larger period, right? But within the last 20 years, because of internet, we have seen banking is coming out of the bank branches. So gist of this slide is banking is not only relevant to the bank branches, but we need to see how the same customer is moving on some other channels. Example, is the same customer, he is doing banking not in a bank, but some other channel. This is what we have seen, right? So it's all happened because of various industry revolutions. We have seen industry revolution 1, 2, 3, and primarily 4, which is typically around internet and which is around customer. Earlier 3 revolutions were around societies, countries, how technology is coming and changing the complete landscape. But 4th revolution is something around you and me, right? How are we going to get those services from banks or healthcare companies and so on? And it was completely backed by internet technologies, right? So now, while we adopt, every organization has seen their own depth. And if you come back in a banking organization, there are different types of banks. And there are different types of bank at different level. If you go back, the way PSU banks were operating until 2000, they were more or less operating in the same orbit. But imagine after 2000, all these banks has gone to different orbits. SBI Bank in 2015 and SBI Bank today is altogether different. You talk about Bob Bank without any mobile banking app back in 2000, now with the Bob mobile banking plus Bob World, right? I never know they will announce something more. So every bank has its own orbit, the way they use their data, the way they use their people, the way they enhance their services, the way they adopt newer technology, the way they partner with the right partners at the right time, before time or same way. There are small finance banks, there are payments banks, there are cooperative banks. And in all these banking sector, every bank is compete or collaborating with each other, right? So we need to see which are those pillars really helps to really move on, right? So we'll touch upon these threads in the next 30-35 minutes. It will be little fast, but let's bear it. So we have seen this journey where the data was nothing, right? So Nokia's, and some of you must be having liberty carrying those phones and showing those phones. This is the phone I carry. I have seen that life of mine. I was requesting my boss, when will I get this Samsung phone, right? But today you must be carrying couple of them, and even if your kids are having liberty to have at least one phone. So that is the era we have seen where there was no era of 2G, 3G or 4G, or today we talk about 5G. It was just a different variant of a communication. Now look at these logos were the best logos that moment, right? If you talk about Kodak, was not irreplaceable logo, or you talk about AOL Messenger, Yahoo or Blueberry until BlackBerry. So I think these were the logos were irreplaceable, Nokia's, right? There were hardly 4 companies apart from Nokia, maybe Samsung, Sony, Ericsson, or STD, ISD, PCO booth. We have seen those days standing in front of the booth for 7 o'clock or 8:30, depends upon what type of a call you want to do. But these logos all of a sudden vanished, right? Imagine why they have vanished, because they have not taken care of what new is coming, right? Like internet has come and vanished many of those business models. And look at these logos. Do you think these logos will vanish now? At least these logos are there and they will prevail for some more time. Look at Netflix. If I ask some of you, please uninstall Netflix, what they will say? There is no other better option. There are options, but this is one of the pioneer options. And look at this company was getting bought by Blockbuster back in late 2000. And they are now emerging as such a company that they can buy various blockbusters, right? Amazon, or everybody is a customer of GAFA, which is a Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. Facebook predominantly is Meta, right? So look at these logos, and best part of these logos, they understand where their customers are. They do a lot of marketing, they understand the data, they understand data management, they understand how do we reach out to these customers and be there in their life for longer period, which if you go back to these logos, look at these logos were not adequate to understand. Now, look at this architecture. So this could be the point-to-point bank architecture until 2014. And if some of the bankers are there, they can relate that. So I was in DCB Bank, I have seen that if I have to add a function so-called my balance, I have to change in all the applications. I have to change in mobile banking, I have to change in contact center and internet banking as well as SMS banking, so on. So the architecture have changed eventually in the last 7-8 years. Earlier, without ESB, people are moved on to the enterprise service bus, and now people are talking about microservices. And maybe because of cloud and more, people will more talk about a serverless or something to do with containerization and so many things, right? So having a right architecture is very, very important, which these logos I understood like this. Now, this was something at a bank where I have worked, where we had a right architecture with all these right data, how can we utilize the data, streamline, and to have a better change request mechanism. If I have to add a balance, it's just adding one function and it is replicated to all the other channels. So eventually we have moved from that monolithic development and architecture of client server or Foxpros to typically to the network, and now we are talking about cloud and many more other things. But this was the backbone to move on, right? Now, we have seen how communication technologies has really helped to move the channels. Talking about your command line keyboard to the smartphones, to the new age facial or these technologies, right? I think why customer experience and expectations around customer experience allows banks internally to the change is very, very important aspect to talk. So customer is changing. Customer is changing because it's the same customer who will go to the bank branch, it's the same customer who will go to the McDonald's just beside that, he's the same customer who will go to some other hospital or some other book my show or some cinema halls. So customer is changing, and if you really adopt a right customer strategy at one organization, at multiple organizations, let's look at, you should have a right people, right? The people with the right skills or who understand their current processes. So today, if you want to transform your organization, you need to see whether you have right people to transform. Do you have a right people who can adopt cloud, implement cloud, or migrate cloud internally, or do you have a right partners who can really help to do this kind of equations? And moreover, if you want to adopt any of those new things, how can we do it with the regulation? Now imagine last 7 years, there are many regulations. Video KYC came, and under video KYC, we have seen at least 10 plus regulations, typically on the cloud, right? How can we move the data from a video KYC partner to the cloud? So for any organization, if they have to adopt, apart from technology, the way today we are talking around cloud or blockchain, AI, or ESB or big data, you need to have a right match of all of these things. So imbalance of these things, for example, cooperative banks, expectation is a huge, right, from a customer. So they will die. So they also have to adopt right architecture, right compliance, right regulations along with the right people. So every organization, look at your own organization, things have changed in 5-6 years. Organizations were not having innovation officer or a digital officer or a CISO kind of a role, right? It was not existing back in 2010. So eventually, because of regulation, external forces, other bank peers, and then many more new technologies are coming. So indefinitely or definitely we have to change at all levels. So it's very, very important how do we change, right? So why it is happening? This change is happening because of, say, internet came into our life since 95, and since then you have seen so many irreplaceable logos or technologies back here, right? And this will move on, right? There is another internet 2.0 or blockchain is coming, which I am not covering, but predominantly what we have seen with the internet, it is still, it is changing, and as a, as a gist or a summary, your complete transformation changing because of various things or various enhancements are happening at interface. The PC has become web or web 2 or web 3, or a desktop, browsers, mobile, or tomorrow's metaverse or AR, VR. So if you combine all of these things of interface or a logic of data, so you will see where we are as a cloud journey or apps or mobile. So it will not stop here. It will have many more things which is coming up next, right? So it's very, very important as an organization. Technology aspect is okay, but other aspects, how can we really move on, right? So certainly technology is helping to overcome a lot of challenges, right? If you see in a banking organization, how big data can be helpful for a cost reduction or better open banking, to have a better customer experience, or a cloud is which is helping for many more other incentives, mobile on a cost reduction, right? Instead of going to the bank branch, you can have all the services on mobile banking. So predominantly after this chat GPT and things came in, so AI has become more prominent or rather normal technology. So as a combination, it is not only AI or mobile or cloud or any of your interfaces platform like conversion, it has to work cohesively with all to understand what are the challenges in banking sector, how can we really to the next level. Now if you go back 1967, where this was an innovation, this is something ATM, right? And we were so happy in 1967, wow, that bank, Barclays Bank has opened an ATM. And today if I ask you, there is one more ATM coming in front of Geo Convention Center, you will say, let it happen. I don't transact on ATM. Right. Moreover, the way we have seen the kind of innovations in UPI, which is a consolidation of mobile banking apps, right? And tomorrow UPI is bringing a lot of new innovations. What is that innovation you are bringing on ATMs? Right? Can we not have interoperable ATMs? Yes, we did that. Like back in 2010 with the national financial systems. So can you not have one ATM with all banks, 2-3 banks? Is it possible? Definitely, technically it's possible, right? How regulatory will come and change that drastic things is very, very important. So predominantly what we have to say that one innovation will have many more other cross-industry innovations eventually. We have seen these mobile vans, or we have seen up and downs in banking back in 2008, right? We have seen how this another parallel financial economy is coming, so-called Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. India, we may say it is not coming, but outside of India, the banks are adopting now. JP Morgan, Citibanks, and large-scale banks are adopting with the right regulations and so on. And eventually, recently, 4 Indian banks are now partnering with the JP Morgan for a better digital asset kind of innovation. So there are many innovations are happening while this disruption has happened in our life. 2016, we have seen how 86% of a currency has recirculated, has given a push for many more other innovations. This was a parallel innovation happened in a non-banking sector where Facebook said, I will create my own digital currency backed by these many logos, including MasterCard and Visas or PayPal. Eventually it has vanished. Why? Because there was no regulatory or government support. But this could be another parallel thing can come if a government says, can we not create? This is what we are creating today, CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency, backed by many countries, where tomorrow interoperable CBDC will give a lot of path-breaking innovations and so on. So these are opportunities we have seen during COVID. Long queues were not there, but there are still many things to do after COVID. The way we have seen transformation need is required. There are countries are adopting cryptos as a legal tender. There are banks who are creating that AR, VR or so-called metaverse. Here we have our Union Bank also who has announced. Recently PNB has announced. The gist is that while moving from your branch to mobile or to internet, we are slowly moving on metaverse kind of a banking. So there are many things will come and say, do it in accelerated mode. That is why we go ahead with the cloud or better mechanisms on a cloud and so on. CBDC, which is being accepted This is bit dated slide, which is accepted by 100 plus countries now. Eventually, India is one of those who has implemented both retail as well as wholesale CBDC. That will bring on many more other boost on existing banks. Example, there are at least 10 plus banks now talking about this. So more data, right? So more data and more cloud adoption, which we'll see. India has announced last year, which is still continuing with POC pilots. Money is changing from your various other brick and mortar or bartering model to electronic, maybe tomorrow digital asset money. So you may say question mark, but it will happen. Eventually, when we go back in this era, we were not saying cards will be the one of those money, right? But today, cards is a norm. Tomorrow, this will be the norm. Why? Because you may not accept, but your future generation is already accepted that. You ask your friends, you ask your future generation, do they know crypto? They will say yes. They may not know bank branch, but they know these technologies. So coming back, innovation with the regulation, which is most important thing for all of these banks. And what is happening, why it is happening? Because data is everywhere. In the sense, internet adoption back in 2023 is more than 5.3 billion people have access of mobile phones and internet. So maybe down the line, 5-6 years, internet is everywhere, right? That's how we will see the life. We have seen rise of a computation from mini to PC to this and mobile. Now today, we are in the era of connected platforms, right? So why it is happening? Because your bank branches are now getting converted, rather they are working closely as a online banking. So there are a lot of enhancements are happening where we have seen journey of banks from no data or no digital to now huge data, advanced digital or extreme digital. Now extreme digital is a means that I entered in this hall and everybody knows who has entered. Why? Because I have given access, let them know. Or I have entered in the bank branch and branch manager comes to know he has entered. Now imagine how much data we are consuming to understand that. In a sense, I need to know the person of that customer. So one of those innovations which we did back in DCB Bank, that how many people have entered today in the bank branch? How many of them were happy or unhappy? And how was the performance by the teller during the interaction? It all happened with the help of some connected device. So while the same thing which was happened on a non-digital or a little bit adopting digital mode to see who has entered with the help of some muster or some ledger system, now things are getting automated more. More things will be automated, more we'll talk about more data and more digital and more cloud. So most of the banks in India could be in the basic digital or a little bit of advanced digital. None of the banks are still in extreme digital mode. But there are platforms coming who will adopt and who will tell, and these platforms are not in a banks, but these platforms are in other industry. In a retail industry or a gaming industry, they are there. They understand who has entered, what is gesture. Now, typically, if you see any innovation in this innovation in particular banking or retail or agriculture, it always comes from some other industry. Imagine, right? The airline industry mobile app came into banking, right? Or similarly, whatever gamification happening while I enter in a shopping mall, same gamification will come in the bank branches. Because tomorrow, maybe after 5 years, bank branches will have to take different shape. They will not have a same brick and mortar kind of a model. Maybe in the evening, they will become restaurants or they will become some other kind of a lifestyle opportunities. So every channel will keep on changing, and while we keep on changing, your data, your people, your skill set, your technology adoption, all the curves will keep changing. Another impact why this has changed, because of your communication methods. So earlier it was hardware plus interface, which has typically gone to nothing, no hardware. Imagine why I'm saying, say example, when we used to operate with the keyboard and mouse, now we operate with a swipe, talk or gesture. Tomorrow it will be brain-to-brain interface, right? So you can always challenge yourself why it is coming, but it will certainly come. I look at you, I know what is that you are thinking because you are my friend, you have given access. Yes, you can understand. So eventually, while we are today on a voice banking or Alexa banking or a touchless banking or something like biometric, that will eventually change on gesture mode. You just enter your biometric or your eyes can or iris can capture whether who is that person, which is typically Amazon Go and many other such industries has performed this kind of thing. So while we keep doing this innovation, there is a global opportunity or a global responsibility in form of a 17 sustainable goal. Otherwise, we'll just keep doing automation, but we'll forget that how do we survive with a clean water or better health. At least COVID has given opportunity to think of the global health. How can we take care of people with a better, but now there are many more business models. I'm not talking about responsibilities, but through this, there are new business models are coming. Carbon exchanges, carbon credits. How can I, as a HDFC bank, how can I buy carbon credits from a bank from South Korea or from some other company from South Korea? The way I do messaging, how can I buy or sell? So that kind of a new business model will come, maybe down the line in Indian context, 5-6 years, every bank will have a carbon credit attached for every transaction. So again, more data and more cloud. Here I'm not talking more of data, cloud and various tools, we have experts out here, but I'm talking about how things are changing, right? How new business model will come which were not existing 20 years before. And if you always want to challenge, go back 20 years before, what was not there and what is that there today. So with the help of 5G and all these process interface and the data kind of thing, you see what are things are going to happen. Everybody knows banks, fintechs, collaboration is happening. There are various business models around fintechs. Now earlier, your branch customer is slowly getting into open banking. It's the same customer with the same bank branch, but apart from that, they need many other things. So we have SBI, or Bob World, or we have a phone, Paytm. So they provide not only banking, but many other services now, right? So the business model is huge, but there will be, at least in Indian context, will not have more than 10, 12 super apps. Tata tried, or Jio has tried, but there are very few has sustained for a longer period. And most of the time, these super apps have a journey like go up and come down, right? We have seen in form of a Cred, and there are many other fintechs who are doing this. But at the customer end, they are the winners. They get everything they want from not only one bank and wherever they want to move ahead, right? So this kind of models, open banking kind of a model could be a traditional banking plus platform banking, where we have a complete Ola platform inside Google Maps. Or you can see that distributed model wherein within Ola and Uber, you can pay by UPI or many other things. So a lot of integrations are happening, where could be aggregator model, could be distributor or orchestrator. So you imagine from where we came. Bank branch, and here we are, right? Where one bank talk to the client and a third party, so many providers, right? Or a third party service provider gives lot many services to the banks, loyalty and many other services. So everything is getting embedded in a banking. So in a gist, what is really happening, I'll skip some of these slides which are little bit, sorry. So things is getting like this. So there is a regulator. So this regulator was talking to this bank or branch. That was the past. Now today, banks are now having from monolithic to the entire, to the ESB, to the microservices, to the containers kind of architecture keeps on changing. Now these banks are opening their methods or hands through from kind of some technical API. Earlier it was a monolithic, one-on-one integration. It used to take 6 months, 8 months, but now they are coming up with some banking as a service models. Now there are some companies like Fidor, or in India there are Decentro, Sciences. What they do, they take all the business components, example opening of the FD. So relevant all APIs they will take and open it as a one single API to all these partners. So this partner comes and says that I am compliant with the Federal Bank, Kotak Bank, S Bank. You just come once and integrate with me, rather than you go 3 times to the 3 banks. Right, so that's another banking is going to come. So there could be another 7-8 companies now in India, so that will become 80-90. While it becomes 80-90, our regulator comes and says, let me make them as a 20 in form of account aggregator. So in a gist, go back to the slide where we talk about people, skills, regulator. There is a plethora of so many apps will come, peer-to-peer lending. They will be treated as NBFC in 2017. So regulator has played a major role to do better technology adoption, or better any of those fintech or digital lending adoption. We have seen last 6-8 months, many more regulations comes around digital lending. So in a gist, as a bank, you may keep doing many more innovations, but look at all these actors responsible in this whole journey, including your customer, right? Including your customer, how can you understand the same customer either by call or either by reading his data? So, okay, I'm going back. Just a second. So, in a context, in a Indian context, we have seen from 95, internet came. After that, we have seen rise of core banking in early 2000, where we have seen channels going live for internet banking in ICICI Bank. Mobile banking came with the Android and iOS. Then we have seen how various payment gateways came into picture in 2008-9. Then we have seen era of Mastercard and Visa, right, with the credit cards or debit cards. We have seen the need of NPCI back in 2010 to have a better ecosystem or payments. While we have seen how these new banks are coming, new banks or UPI boost, demonetization, various public digital platforms like Aadhaar, UPI, account aggregator, PCR, ONDC, and there are many more things will come. And then later on, what is going to come? How Aadhaar will talk to UPI, or how GST will talk to others, which is in form of account aggregator and so on, right? To support that, we have seen how many regulatory guidelines came, and this time, I think after 23, you will see surge of new technologies. AI is becoming normal technology. Blockchain is geared up. There are the 18 banks coming together. They have formed a company called IBIC, which is Indian Banking Blockchain Infrastructure Company, to adopt blockchain at a various use case levels. So in a nutshell, what has happened in the banking ecosystem, starting from your branch, ATM, mainframes, contact center model, we have moved to digital banking model. It was backed by mobility, API, data or API. So today we are in the gist of either digital or intelligent, where we have AI, ML, RPA, voice bots, little bit of a blockchain, the way regulator will push. CBDC is one of these example, and followed by we are knocking the doors of metaverse, cognitive cities. So cities could be become another channel. Cities will be adopted by banks. So today, Gift City is adopted by many banks, right? With a separate core banking systems. And the model is like we'll have many more Gift Cities in India. Now look at this Neom City or a Line City, which is a complete cognitive city, separate habitat where we have a separate governance, government, various banks, which is in Saudi Arabia, right? So IoT, Edge or a 5G. So this is becoming another type of a world, which is autonomous. You just have to program, it will happen automatically. Autonomous cars, drones, that is the era we will see, while this era will be always bound by what we have done in the past. It is not like that it is going to come and appear in front of us. It will appear the way we will do a lot of innovations out here. Why? Because we will need AI or a blockchain to really have a better security here, or a better smart world here. So while we are happy with this life, or while we were here, we were talking about, yes, now my bank is on API banking, my bank have implemented big data or cloud. Don't worry, there are many more challenges or opportunities are going to come. Why? Because look at that slide where we were talking about Kodak, or we were talking about some Yahoo Messenger. Because now life for customer is not one bank, it's like a marketplace. Now, as per a study of UN, so there will be at least 350 plus entities will come on marketplace. Today we see which entities? Ola, Uber, or we see Zomato, we see Rideshare, right? So there are 7-8 entities we see in front of each other, right? Rideshare or cycles or bikes. So imagine 350 plus entities will come on a marketplace where people will not buy those entities, will just take services. And to have a better services, better intelligence will require these kind of technologies in this world, right? So I think in a gist, while there are a lot of partners who will really make us understand how data to be utilized and so on, as per global study, I'll take another 5-6 minutes. As per global study, these 5 themes are very, very important for every organization, not only bank, which is right. How can we take care of increased customer expectations so that we remain in the race with the help of right people, right technology? How can we take care of data as a new currency? How can we have a better data models, or how can we have a ready-made data platforms? How can we have a big data kind of a journey, or a chat GPT relevant kind of a journey with Gen AI? How can we have a platformification of everything? Example, banking. Like in government also, we have a platform, so-called National Open Data Ecosystem, right, NODs, right? So the way we have a UPI or Aadhaar, every industry is going to come on platforms. Go back in 2014 and come back in 2022, platform of Aadhaar, platform of Arogya Setu, platform of Digi Locker, Digi Yatra. So everything is coming on the platform. So that's very, very important aspect for every industry. Evolution of banks into technology companies. If you have access to the boardrooms of the banks, they will always talk about, let us create another company for us. There are some banks are really looking forward. Some banks in India like IDBI, Intech, Saraswat, fine. But within a bank, I have visited some banks and their culture and what they are looking forward. It may be an innovation department, it may be a separate dedicated research department. But look at some of the risk-taking banks like JPMs or Wells Fargo or Citibank. They have this kind of a tech companies out there. And finally, this is very, very going to be very important, sustainability, which is around how can we take care of lifestyle, better water, and all of the 17 sustainable goals. So if we combine these 5 things, I think certainly we will be able to meet at least these global themes and the requirements. So today, every bank or a set of banks or a regulator is looking forward to adopt technology around all these things. Technology to adopt better customer simplicity, to remove bad assets with the help of a better utilization of a data or understanding of data, better dispute management system or a better identity ahead of eKYC, KYC, video KYC, or maybe tomorrow's self-serving KYC, where KYC is in your pocket. It is not in Aadhaar. You can decide how much or how many parameters I can open it for bank A. And once my account is closed, I should not have any KYC existence out there. So that's the new norm of KYC with tamper-proof data audit logs, or another need is a secure record keeping, or another need is that manual data is a challenge, right? Fraud reporting. Today, if you report a fraud in one bank, that data is available to another bank after how many days? Minimum 30 days. On current technology, mobile and so many things we're talking. Why? Because this is how we created. But bringing on blockchain AI, it will be available real time. So while we have this kind of a challenge in 2023, certainly if you adopt right technologies, so we'll be able to do much more better than job for our ever-changing customers. So around these are the 4 things while we talk about this. While we talk about this 5 global themes, it will be within your organization. Look at the journey around how are you accessing, how your customers are accessing your channels, or look at how data-driven intelligence, how you are utilizing your data. Do you have a separate data officer? Whenever you have these things, you just think of first people. What process you have, what governance COE structure you have, right? Then financial insights and the risk control. Financial insight is a separate part, but what are those risk controls we have on your data? And last but not the least, operational effectiveness. So today you have 100 operations. How can we make lesser and less more automatic operations with the help of existing technologies? So, so certainly it's a long way to go for every organization to look at this was the traditional banking architecture until 2013-14, right? Look at your channels like mobile banking, internet banking, merchant channels, POS, EPOS, ATMs, right? Which has slowly evolved on external apps, followed by, I'm not able to see, acquiring or Visa, so card management system. So slowly, these channels or these architectures eventually evolved as this kind of architecture, where we have seen the cards have changed from MaxTap to EMV. You have seen merchant channels, not only that Dabba POS to the Smart POS or ePOS we have seen. We have seen instead of connecting point-to-point integration, we have added this bus. Now this bus is getting with the microservices. So this was not existing. So now this has come into our life. You can see this mobile device management or a contact center voice. The payment innovations we have seen through form of UPI, IMPS, CBDC, and notification engines in form of many more other technologies coming from iOS and Android. Core banking is changing. The definition of core banking will change in 5-6 years, right? More or less thin core banking, KYC norms are changing, service-oriented architecture is changing. There are many more public digital platforms are coming. So back in coming coming from this architecture, we have certainly moved on to this kind of architecture because of many more internal and external systems, right? So I think things will keep changing for us. What we have seen, for a modern banking, there are external factors, there are internal factors, right? Internal could be business expectations, what they are looking for, new platforms, new products, new security trends, architecture, and there are external factors like how customer is changing, how regulatory is bringing on new regulations, and how fintechs or partners are coming into the picture, right? So I think things are ever evolving, right? What needs for every organization, that how they reskill their people, how they can really work on out of 100, which are the top 10 to automate as a process automation, which are the right technology to adopt today, apart from traditional mobile or cloud. What is that more things we need to adapt with the right regulation, right partners, and always to go back to the customer, either in manual way or automated way. Automated way, understand the data, look at the way earlier we used to talk about a customer 360-degree, right? Or as a segmentation, how many customers need this data. But today we talk about you, what is that Mr. X is looking for as a banking or plus non-banking services. I think things are evolving. I'll stop here. There are some more slides which I can share this deck to our organizers, which could be available. There are, but I think these are core themes: and data analytics, extended automation, technology adoption, stable infrastructure, right security, governance, so that we have a better modern core banking. So thank you so much for inviting me here to give just some glimpse around how things are changing today, going to change, what is that we should do, right? Apart from we have a teams, I think we do day-to-day exercise, but we should have some internal force or external force to really come and say, oh, this is how world is changing, so you should also change internally. So that as an India, right, or as a country, every organization looks at how they can improve their individual innovation index. And eventually it will really help everybody out here, because from top down, government is changing, top down companies like NPCI, ONDC, RBI Innovation Hub, coming and pumping in new things for all of us. So while we are changing, they are also changing, and as a combination collaboration, let's look forward how can we better ecosystem for our customers. So thank you so much. I'll stop here. Huh? There are some slides I will share. In the interest of time, I'll stop here. Thanks. Yeah.